The video you're about to watch is actually a small excerpt from a much longer video I did a while back, basically entitled, "Why Didn't They Tell Me That Before My Transplant?" If you have any questions or comments, please leave them in the comments below, or maybe even consider going over and watching the entire video in its context. I promise you there's a ton of information there that you'll want to hear about. So now we're going to jump in the comments right quick. The first one of these, I want to come right from the top, comes from Howard Beeson, and he says, "How shaky I would be from Tacro and that it would resolve." Now, this is that comment. There are a ton of these like this. This is that particular comment that just comes up over and over and over again throughout this. And I don't think any hospital really did any kind of a job relaying that. Now, I at UAB, I'm a transplant educator there, so of course I'm going to speak highly of them, kind of biased. But at UAB, I think I got a tremendously great pre-transplant training sessions. There were a number of those. The evaluation had that as a part of it, that there were some training sessions. I think I got given a lot of great information, but I don't believe anybody ever said, hey, you're going to shake like a leaf on a tree when you get this tacro / also the prednisone. That corticosteroid prednisone gets in there, and those two working together, tacrolimus, aka Prograf, and prednisone, man, those two clashing can cause a storm of tremors and shakes. Almost has the look of Parkinson's, or at least look as if, you know, you've been on a lot of caffeine all day and such as that. And Howard says that, and then all the people that comment below that go along and say, yep, been there, done that, have the card to prove it. Now, in my case, the way I often described that back then is I talked about how it almost felt as if I'd taken some sort of a carbonated drink, I'd imagine like a Sprite, because it was clear. I thought that if I'd stick my finger down in it, the internal shaking that was going on would vibrate that drink so much, it would just boil over, just foam over out of the glass. And that's what it felt like. You know, the difficulties, I couldn't eat rice, I couldn't eat peas, I couldn't eat anything on a spoon hardly for a while because it was just that aggravating. But as Howard made mention of here, he said, and that it would resolve. And that's the wonderful thing. It typically, that's my key word here, does resolve over time as those dosages come down, both the tacro as well as the corticosteroid prednisone. As those dosages come down, it typically does resolve, at least for the most part. Now, I did find a few people here in the comments, and some that even commented on the video that I did the last time, that, hey, mine hadn't resolved. I think one person I recall said she's been about 8 years out now. She still has difficulty with that. And I'll tell you, I do too from time to time, depending on if I'm fatigued or maybe I didn't eat well, or sometimes I drink too much caffeine, which I don't drink coffee and all, but sweet tea's my addiction. And if I drink too much caffeinated sweet tea, it'll cause me similar problems. And I really hate it now because I just don't like that feeling. When you live with it for so long, you just don't like that feeling. But that can happen. And sometimes that's fatigue. Sometimes it's diet related. Sometimes it's just because your tacro levels, even though you take them, as most of us do, in 12-hour increments and try to be very cautious and careful of that, those levels do fluctuate a little bit. And depending on if the tacro is a little higher or a little low, you're going to have that return of the tremors or the shaking sometimes. So thank you, Howard, for that.